Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda and I'm here with my brother Eric.
How you guys doing? I hope everybody's having a great week so far. Just wanted to again shout out all the support that we're seeing on our socials, the TikToks, the Instagram Reels, the YouTube Shorts. Really appreciate that. And again, if you could share one with just a friend, if you could share this episode with one friend, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks, guys. And we are here today to continue our discussion about Stranger Things Season 1. To remind everyone where we are, we left things off on episode 6, or chapter 6, rather. And last week we were talking about Nancy escaping the Demogorgon in the Upside Down with Jonathan's help. Hop and Joyce were getting a lead on Terry Ives, who we learn is Eleven's mom. Lucas found himself outside the Department of Energy when following his compass to find the gate. Nancy and Jonathan were deciding to fight the Demogorgon, but were caught up by Steve and his jerk friends. Dustin and Mike were running from the bullies, but got rescued by 11.
Oh, sure did.
Yeah, in a very dramatic scene. But they were only then to have Dr. Brenner's people, how they were following them right back to the Wheeler's house, which is then right where we're picking up today, right?
Yeah. And, I just want to throw this out there. Something I really like, and we never talk about it. We talk about the stuff that happens, a lot before the credits. I'm just always a fan of when Netflix does like the custom intros for the song, or not for the song, for the show. You know what I'm talking about? So when the Netflix logo is up, there's like the storm and lightning and stuff going on for Stranger Things. It makes it kind of look like the background of the Netflix logo is in the Upside Down. Have you noticed that?
Wait, no. What do you mean? Like when
you turn on the episode, the first thing that happens is the Netflix logo comes up. And it does it with like a whole Stranger Things themed motif. Yeah. And not every show gets that, and it's not the standard, Netflix look. So I'm always a fan of that. I like seeing that. Not every show gets that, so very cool for them to do that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know probably if made them a whole lot of money.
Well,
so.
Yeah, and I don't know if they started with that right out of the gate or not, but
I don't think so.
But really good to then go back and still do it for all the early episodes.
Oh, all right. I'm going to have to pay closer attention to that.
Pay close attention to that. Really cool. I like that.
Yeah. So today we are covering chapter 7, The Bathtub.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting title because I'm like, they didn't actually end up in the bathtub.
No.
They ended up in the pool.
Yeah. I think if we were ever going to be critical of titles, this is the first one that I would be like, not the best title.
Right.
I will say that the bathtub is obviously we'll get there, but it's the thing that sparks 11's memory on it all. So had it not been for the bathtub, maybe none of the other stuff would have happened.
And I guess it has a better ring to it than the kiddie pool. So
the kiddie pool doesn't sound great. I think there are some alternate titles we could have gone with. Like I might have called it The Gathering, because this is one of my favorite season 1 episodes, and we'll talk about why. But let's jump right into it.
Yeah. So we start off this episode with Mike and Elle in the bathroom at the Wheeler's house. Where she's looking in the mirror at herself and asking Mike if she's still pretty because she doesn't have the wig anymore, is what she's focusing on. And he's like, yeah, and I'm happy you're home. And she's saying, yeah, me too, which I thought was cute because, referring to kind of his home as her home, like she's back home with them. and they're having a little moment there where I'm like, oh my gosh, are these kids gonna kiss for the first time here?
They
What's happening?
definitely teased that for a second.
Yes.
Yeah. But then we get Dustin barging in.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, guys, it's Lucas. I think he's in trouble. And they can hear Lucas on the radio then at that point. And they're saying, hey, Lucas, we can hear you. And he's trying to spit out like the bad men are coming. And they're having trouble hearing him at first. But then they realize, Mike interprets. He's saying the bad men. And Lucas is saying all of them. So we've got to get out of here, right? And then we're with Dustin and Mike seeing those vans outside of the Wheelers' house. So the power and light vans, not just one, but there were like 4 of them.
Yeah, one to start, and then the other like 3 or 4 of them just roll right up. And Mike is trying to ask his mom, like, hey, is there any work being done on the house? Right. Answer, no. And then in a kind of weird moment, you get Dustin walking in, interrupting them and being like, hey, we have to go right now. And if you're mom, I feel like mom would maybe ask a couple questions. Maybe
hang up the phone. I don't know.
But like, she's just kind of like looking at him like, what? And Mike says, if anybody asks for me, tell them I left the country. Like, wait a minute. I would maybe ask a question there. But instead, they run off and off they go.
Yeah, I would end the call. I don't know who she's talking to, but it really can't be that important. I mean, there's a lot going on in this town recently. She might want to figure that out. But, right. So then the boys are racing off on their bikes with 11 on the back of Mike's bike, but right before they peel out, Papa and 11 actually meet eyes, right? So now he knows for sure. I mean, he knew that she was there for sure before this, but now they've actually seen each other.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. But.
And then. Yes, and
they're off. They're off anyway, and 11, despite looking a little nervous about that whole encounter, is off on the back of the bikes, and they catch up with Lucas on like after going through some like backyards and stuff to get to an adjacent street. Then all of them are together on that next strip where they think they've lost him, but. Those vans just roll right up behind them and start chasing them down the road. And then we have one van, which has looped around to try and corner them in. And as that van gets closer, you kind of get this zoom in on 11. And she kind of starts peering off to the side and using that focus. And then that van flips upside down and over the bikes and slams down in front of the other vans, blocking their path, allowing the bikes to just ride off into the sunset. And I feel like we have Dr. Brenner get out of the van. He starts and he's looking and watching them ride off. He almost looks kind of proud of her.
Oh, he looked entirely proud. I had that written down too. I'm like, the look at his eyes, he's like, that's right, that's my girl. Like,
that's it.
Because he just is getting further confirmation about this, what he sees as like his creation, right? Like he's, and she's doing just the things that he knows that she's capable of doing. And
using it the way that he would want her to as well.
That's
he would just want her to use it on his side, not, her own side. But it's available and it's there.
Yes, that's right.
And then we get Lucas.
Lucas apologizing to Elle. Saying he's sorry and he was wrong, and then Elle is saying, we're friends and friends don't lie and I'm sorry too, right? And Mike joins in too. He's apologizing. So they're all, I wrote the band is back together, right? So
I put the gang is back together, same thing. Is a cool moment where you get all of a sudden Lucas is on board. He's now seen what she did again for them, and he gets it, and he sees what is out there, and he was all by himself in the woods watching and picking up on what is going on at the Department of Energy. And so I think that has helped solidify to him that this is a situation and something is much something much bigger is at play.
Yeah. And then that's when we have the credits roll through.
Yeah,
So
opening credits.
and I know we've kind of talked about, the length. I feel like this was, again, kind of like the last one, more of like an average runtime before the credits. So we had definitely a critical scene, but it wasn't,
I did timestamp it. It was 6.5 minutes.
Okay, that's not a decent amount.
But I think that's typical. I think that's also what you're saying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you go 5-6 minutes into the show and then get the credits for Stranger Things, that's about right. We've had some where it's been real fast. We've had some that were almost 10 minutes in before we got the credits.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
But this is good.
Yeah.
This was good.
Yeah, for sure. And after the credits, then we have Hopper and Joyce back at the police station. And Joyce saying, well, why is he in handcuffs looking at Jonathan, right? And she's yelling, take them off. And Hopper's agreeing, you heard her, take them off of him. And Hopper is taken back to the trunk of Jonathan's car by the other officers, where they're finding the weapons. So the box of weapons that Nancy and John had purchased together, they obviously had found them. And he's trying to, and then they're back inside, and Jonathan's saying, you wouldn't believe me if I told you the story as to why they have the weapons. And Hopper's, you know what, give me a shot here, because you'd be surprised at what I'd believe at this point, right?
Well, that's just it. I think that was a key moment too, because he's like, hey, why don't you come back in my office and explain it to me?
Yeah.
Give me a try. And that is almost coded for, hey, I might believe you, but you have to come in here and tell me away from all these other people.
Yeah.
And, you might be able to back him up a little bit. So that's what we get. And Jonathan does give him a try.
Yeah, that's right. But in the meantime, we're back at the Wheeler house, where Mrs. Wheeler is going into the basement and finding Elle's wig hair in the blankets and the little fort that Mike has built under the table, because apparently she has not been down here this whole time. I just don't think that she probably ventures down there too much. It's usually just the boys playing their game. So, she's decided, you know what, maybe I should take a look to see what's going on around this house, considering that the boys were just acting a little bit weird and raced out. So then we have Mr. Wheeler opening the door to, I guess who I'll just refer to as the social worker lady, who now has a badge that she's flashing around. I don't know what badge that was.
It doesn't matter, because it's not real. Like,
well, that's why I'm like, are they part? I mean, but is it though? Because I was thinking, I mean, they could be part of like a real government agency. Like, we don't know for sure. Like
theoretically.
Yeah, so I mean, this could be part of the NSA or the CIA, sort of what Hopper was saying in the other episode. And so I don't know for sure that it wasn't real, but I had that question down myself. I'm like, I don't know if this is legit or not.
I guess I just look at this Department of Energy at this point as this rogue, like, federal, maybe they are federal agents, but now they've kind of like broke off from like what the government is and isn't doing, and they're just doing their own thing. This is Dr. Brenner and his people, less so the Department of Energy.
Well, that's right. But Mike even mentions later on in the episode, which we'll come back to, that like, hey, my dad mentioned they build weapons here. Right. And then they're looking at Elle. It's like, yeah, she's the weapon. Right. And so
she's the weapon.
So that's interesting, though, where it's like you would see Department of Energy and think, oh, they're just, normal sources of energy. But apparently it's kind of like a known thing around town that this is really a different type of government facility.
And remember, and they mentioned this a number of times, like this is the 80s, right? We're talking about Cold War America, where the Department of Energy could be a nuclear company or something that is designed to help combat the Russians at this point. And Mr. Wheeler makes mention of that a couple times, or even the kids make reference of that a couple times in this episode, where it's something to deal with how we deal with the Russians, which, is not really something we hear a whole lot about these days. But the idea of being straight head to head with another country in a war type situation is a little bit, it was a little bit more pointed in the 80s. Let me put it that way. It's a little bit more vague these days, but it was very direct back then.
Yeah. Well, either way, I mean, I don't see these people presenting the Wheelers with any type of warrant or anything. They're just not in the house. It's like they just let them in. I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Wheeler seems
They just gave him,
perfectly happy and relaxed,
Yeah.
even, I would say. I'm thinking,
well,
what the heck
he
is this
ge-
guy's deal? He is just,
listen,
I
he
mean,
he has a few lines here
oh
that
yeah,
I jotted down
yeah,
that are really quite something.
mm-hmm,
And one of them he hasn't said yet, but when they're doing this, when they're searching that, they basically said, "Come in, search whatever
mm-hmm,
you want. There's no problems here."
mm-hmm,
And they asked him and Mrs. Wheeler about whether or not they've had this girl basically being housed
staying
in
there.
this house.
They have a picture of
And
11. Yeah.
they have a picture. And Mr. Wheeler is saying, "Believe me, if he had a girl sleeping in this house, we'd know about it, wouldn't we?"
Right.
And the answer is no, she's been there for a while. Jonathan has been there. Steve has crept in and out of the house. You have no idea what's happening in this house, bro. Like, there's no concept.
No, and I like how he's saying, wouldn't we? And then he looks at his wife because it's like, he doesn't really know how to answer that. He's just kind of going off what he'd like the answer to be. And as he's asking her, even the agent, social worker lady, as I said, I'd call her, is kind of like definitely picking up on Mrs. Wheeler's body language, where she had just found that wig hair and it's all over her face that she knows something is going on here. And yeah, he's saying like, our son with a girl? Absolutely not. This is Mr. Wheeler, who's just like, and Mrs. Wheeler is then saying, "You expect me to remain calm?" And she's starting to like freak out. And Mr. Wheeler also says, "Oh my God, is she a Russian?" Because to your point, it's like, that's what they're immediately thinking is, okay, have they like, is she a spy or something,
Right. And, we get the social worker lady, if you want to call her that, like band guy.
Yeah.
Social worker lady is kind of just hanging out and trying to push the envelope, but Mrs. Wheeler is getting more and more and more upset.
Mm-hmm.
And so social worker lady takes the cue from Dr. Brenner.
Mm-hmm.
And he sits down
Mm-hmm.
and is able to smooth talk his way through it.
Yeah.
And gets them to trust him.
It's almost like
he asks,
I don't know if he was using some type of like hypnosis like voice, but he was very calmly.
But that's what it is. He comes in, switches gears. He's completely calm. He knows that he empathizes with them. And then he lays it out like, "Listen, we're concerned that he's in danger. Will you trust us to help make sure that he's safe?"
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Yeah." And that makes a ton of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand why parents I would be the same way. 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I totally get it. I don't put any blame on them at all for that.
Yeah.
There's definitely more concern with, hey, come on in and just search everything in my house now.
Yeah.
But the idea of trusting an official to attempt to help with the situation, I could understand why that would be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And he knows that, Dr. Brenner knows that if I frame this as, hey, your son is in danger, they're going to help me as much as they possibly can, which luckily they don't know a whole lot of anything. So they really can't say much of anything. So, but then we're back with the boys in the junkyard. And they're kind of, trying to map out a plan, right? Like Lucas has kind of got some sticks put together and he's kind of telling them like, "Oh, well, this is where the fence is." And that's when Mike says, "Oh, the Department of Energy is military. My dad told me that." And, he's saying to the guys, we can't go home anymore. We're fugitives now. And just then a helicopter is even flying overhead. And they're like, that's for us. Like, how terrifying. At 12 years old, you're seeing a helicopter. Even now, if I saw a helicopter flying overhead and I knew that it was coming for me, like, holy crap. And they're
Yeah.
hiding their
Real
bikes.
smart.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real smart to hide the bikes.
Yes,
Like the
yes.
first thing they do is they get the bikes and they throw them under the bus.
Really quick
I
thinking.
think I would have seen the helicopter and been like, let's get out of here, get in the bus so that
Yeah.
nobody sees us. But
Mhm.
then the bikes are all still laid out in the middle.
Yeah.
Really good thinking to like quickly get the
Yes.
bikes, jam them under the bus and get in the bus. I don't know that they would have had enough time in real life to do that
Yeah.
at the rate that the helicopter flies in.
I know.
But we'll suspend belief. And
Well-
they get it all done and they get inside.
And it may be because, as the helicopter's flying, they probably weren't at full tilt because they're trying to look around like, where are these kids? They don't really know where they're looking yet, right? So, yeah, and then they are in that bus hiding. Then we are with Jonathan and Nancy, where they are showing the picture of Barb with the Demogorgon to Hopper and Joyce. And Hopper's kind of asking, so you're saying blood attracts this thing? Blood draws it in? And, Nancy and Jonathan are like, well, we think so. We think that that's
our theory.
Yeah.
Or working theory. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we get Joyce in the hallway right after that.
Yeah.
Trying to explain to Jonathan that he's not alone and he doesn't have to do this all by himself. Although I do find this quite something because they do this a number of times in this show where it's like, listen, we're all on the same page, help each other out, blah, blah, blah. And then they immediately like break into different groups and no, you are now on your own. So like, it's a really, it's interesting scene. I totally understand Joyce wanting to connect and be like, listen, I don't want to lose you too. You're not alone in this. We can help you. But at the same time, you're not sharing your information with him either. And there's still this edge of the adults in the group feeling like they know best and not wanting to share with the kids, even though the kids are bringing more information than the adults are at this point.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I know. There's a note about that later on where they're then at the very end where Joyce and Hopper like split off and like Hopper's telling Joyce, don't come with me. This is too dangerous. And then right after she convinces him, then she turns around to Jonathan, don't come. It's too dangerous. And I think they're all just trying to protect each other is what it's about, right? Where it's like, hey, we're all on the same page here, but she's also first and foremost like Jonathan's mother, right? So I think while she wants to all be on the same page and for him to share everything with her, I think she's still wanting to listen. She's his remaining son where she still knows exactly where he is, right? So
it's also just a pitfall of being the adult.
Yes.
Right? Like if you're the adult, it's going to be awfully difficult for you to want to trust the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're the adult. You should be the one taking care of this situation, not the kids. But as we go throughout this episode, we'll see that should start to shift a little bit with what we see throughout here. But anyway, she has this message for him, and then we're with Troy.
Yes, this scene was great, right? Because we're still in the police station, but then we're down the hall again where Hopper has this encounter with Troy and his mom. So if we remember, Troy is the kid who had the knife to Dustin's throat in the last episode. And
also the one who was frozen and made to wet himself in the gym.
That's right. So he's had a few encounters with 11 now where she has just demonstrated her powers against him. And so his mom is saying, a psychotic child hurt my son. And I'm thinking, yeah, who's psychotic here? Like, that's the exact word that I kept.
Great start.
Right. Yes. And so... But as Hopper is kind of like, you know what? The other officers can deal with you. As he turns his back, Troy is saying she had no hair and was bleeding from the nose. And he's like, what'd you just say about her hair? And he's like, her head
Yeah.
shaved. She can do things. What kind of things? Make you fly, piss yourself. And she hangs out with those losers, and he's like, wait, what losers here? And he's now realizing, oh, this is the kid I've been chasing.
Yes, this is
that.
the second kid.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it is definitely. So we're starting in this episode. This is why I would have called it The Gathering, right? We are pulling all of it together. We have Joyce and Hopper now connecting with Jonathan and Nancy. And now we've got this story where they are pulling this information together. And we're eventually going to go get the boys.
Yeah.
But for the time being, they now know at least that this kid is with those boys.
Yes. And then we have a really pivotal scene for Steve where...
Finally.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. This episode is... Steve isn't in it for long. It's probably only a total of like 3 minutes, but
he's got 2 scenes.
Yeah.
He's got 2 scenes. He's got a scene here, and then he's got a scene a little bit later. And they do a lot, but they do a lot for his character.
That's right.
They do a lot for his character.
A couple episodes back where Steve, came upon Nancy or she was swinging the bat. I know we made the comment of it's like, okay, we see some redeeming qualities of Steve there. Well, this shows more of that for sure. And, he really has, I would say, a breakthrough. So we're with Steve where the scene opens up with he's sitting on the trunk of a car and his face is just destroyed. Like you realize like, wow, Jonathan really got him. Like he was pummeling him.
That's what I'm saying. He got
him. And right at that moment, then Carol and Tommy, the jerk friends, come out of the store and Carol immediately is making a joke that he had the same face, meaning Jonathan had the same look on his face when he was hitting Steve that he did when he killed his brother. And I just have in my notes, wow.
Yeah, what a crazy comment, right?
Yeah, like, oh my, are you kidding me, girl? Like, she's terrible. And it's like, yeah, these people are just awful. And
well, like I said this a while ago, like I think she's genuinely the worst of all the friends. And like the other guy, Tommy, he's not great either, right? They're both horrible influences
on each other.
On Steve and on each other.
Yeah.
But she always seems to be the one that it's oh God, how do I want to explain it? I don't know. It feels like she's almost maybe she feels as though no one's gonna like throw a punch at her.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she can say whatever she wants because Tommy will step in the way and he'll fight her battles. And so she just has a blank check to say anything she wants at all and be as hurtful and as mean as she can because Tommy will be there to back her up. And that is such a horrible spot to be in for her. But Steve fixes
Steve says, Carol, for once in your life, shut your damn mouth. And he's saying, you're both assholes. You shouldn't have done that. Meaning this is where really also where we learn that it was really Tommy who was doing all the spray painting, right? Like, it's almost like Steve had gone back. This is what I'm picturing anyway, because they don't tell us all the details, which is great. It's like they're showing us instead. But Steve, I imagine, went back to the car after he saw Nancy and Jonathan through her window, told the guys, and then Tommy was like, well, I'm gonna, say really mean things about her, all around town. And so
Oh, I see. That you're talking about back at that night when he saw Jonathan in Nancy's room. Yeah. The idea being that information was communicated and that it was Tommy's idea to do the spray painting. That's what is clear from this scene here. Yeah.
Tommy and Carol's idea. And I'm sure then Tommy, though, took it upon himself because, and listen, this is not doing it in coming to Steve's defense. They're just doing it because they're mean people. Like, they're just nasty people. It's like, where is this all this anger even coming from? I don't know. And honestly, I don't even care at this point. But yeah, they're both jerks. And Tommy says at this point, you never asked me to stop. And, Steve is still coming to Nancy's defense saying, you guys are miserable. Oh, no, she's not miserable like you two are. She actually cares about other people. And Carol then continues shooting off her mouth saying, Nancy's a slut with a heart of gold. And Steve is saying, you shut your mouth, and, that at this point, Tommy then kind of like pulls Steve by the lapels and he's saying, are you going to fight me now too? You couldn't take Jonathan Byers, so I wouldn't recommend that. And, in this scene, Tommy here, he reminded me a lot of Biff Tannen. Eric, Biff Tannen is the first person that came to my mind, where then as Steve is like driving off, he's like yelling after his car, like, you better get out of here, like just screaming nonsense to him. I'm like, he is Biff Tannen of this bunch. He is just a bully.
He really is. These two are just terrible people with no real aspirations. No. It doesn't seem to do anything other than make fun of all the people around them. Like, they're not propping themselves up. They're tearing other people down so that they feel like they look better. And that's just not ever the way to be. It's just not. Yeah. Like, it's not worth wasting your time. If you're a young person listening to this, it is not worth, wasting your time with these people. On people who bring you down. No. Like, it's just not worth it. Right. Like, listen, you're going to change friend groups like 500 times. You do not need to stick around and hang out with these people. Forget it. No. Move on. Find better friends. People will be out there. You won't be alone, I promise. People like this, they just are cruel for the sake of being cruel, right? Like, they're not coming to any, like I said, like, it's not even like Tommy was coming to Steve's defense feeling like, oh, she did him wrong. He was just doing it because he's just a mean person. And yeah, there's no benefit. Yeah. That's never going to help you out in life, hanging out with people like this. So. Okay, enough about them. Props to Steve, though, for holding his ground and then driving off and not getting into another fight, but just moving on and saying, forget these two, I'm out. That's right. And then we're with Hopper, where he's saying to Nancy, the last thing you need to do is get mixed up in this, meaning like get it with all the trouble. Well, they're outside the Wheeler house now, right? They're seeing that. This is where they're outside the Wheeler house, and Nancy can see like agents coming in and out of her house, and she's wanting to go into the house to check on everybody. And Hopper's like, no. You hang with us. Like, it'll be fine. They're going to be fine. They haven't found Mike. There's the helicopter. That helicopter wouldn't be up there if they found him. But Hopper's then saying, we need to find them though before they do, looking up at the helicopters. And Jonathan is saying, I don't know where he is, but I might know how to ask him. And they're like, huh? Okay. And that's when he's remembering the walkie-talkies, right? So, Nancy, as they're arriving in, I love her expression as they're arriving. It's a nice like 2 second moment. Where they're arriving in the Byers' living room, and she's like, whoa, as there's like all the string, the Christmas lights hung up, and it's like, okay, there's a lot going on in this household here. There's the alphabet on the wall, and that's when Joyce locates the radio. And Mike is then hearing Nancy on the radio, and they're debating, like, should we answer? Should we not answer? Because who knows? Maybe the cops are right there with them, telling them, like, hey, you need to locate your brother. And I mean, I think that's a perfectly logical thing to be thinking about. But luckily, they did decide to answer. And it is a roll of the dice for sure, because you can see if you are them, you might not want to answer that walkie-talkie for anyone. And Nancy tries to convince him, doesn't say anything. Hopper gets on. He starts talking to him. And I think that's the turning point to go, well, why would the chief of police be asking with Nancy for us? Like, why? He wouldn't steer us wrong. And it's ironic because I think if the chief of police got on, I would think, oh, I definitely can't talk to
I was
them.
thinking the same thing.
I would be more likely to know that Nancy and Jonathan are looking for me, and I'd be happier to answer that than answering something from Hopper, because no offense, but how am I supposed to know that their version of the law and your version of the law are different?
I know. Maybe because of their previous interaction with him. I mean, I don't know, but either way,
Maybe.
Luckily they did decide to answer.
So now we get our second and final Steve scene of the episode, where we get Steve outside the movie theater asking if he can help clean the graffiti down. And the guy who is up on top of the ladder, who I imagine is the theater owner, says, "Are you the one that did this?" And his response is, "I just want to help out."
Yeah.
And so he comes down, hands Steve the rag and says, "It's all yours."
Yep.
And we see Steve get up there and start cleaning the graffiti off of the marquee. And that's it for Steve. But between him walking away from those friends and him going to try and fix something, he starts to get a little bit of credit. And I just always want to put into the Steve bucket here that he doesn't, why would he even think that all these things that we know are even a possibility?
Right.
There's nothing there. He's just living a high school life still.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's no concept of all of this going sideways just yet for him, outside of a couple of people who have gone missing.
Yeah.
That's it. And one of them, they've already had a funeral.
Yeah.
So if you're Steve, I don't know that I'm super concerned about my life in Hawkins, Indiana right now.
Right. No.
But we all know better.
Yeah. And then we have a brief scene back at the Wheeler house where Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler are talking, and Mrs. Wheeler wants to be out there looking too. It's like, I don't blame them.
Yep.
But Mr. Wheeler's kind of like, this is our government. We have to trust them. I'm thinking, oh, Mr. Wheeler. Yeah.
He says, "This is our government. They're on our side." And I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
That's just not a phrase you hear a lot anymore.
Right? Yes. This was a different time.
It was definitely, it was a different time. That is also just going to show that Mr. Wheeler is, he is classic, dad guy. I think I don't even know if I want to say 80s, but 50s.
Well, so he's
goes to work, has the family.
He's the boomer.
But believes that the government is doing everything correctly and that we're going to listen to what they say and, USA and be patriotic and that's it. We're good. And it's just not quite the case in this situation.
Yeah, and he really doesn't know the government too well, and he also doesn't know his own children too well. He's saying, Nancy and Mike together? Oh, no. And then it's like, then we see them together pretty soon. But right after this, then we're with Dustin, where he's pacing around the school bus, and, shortly after I like how the two of the guys that show up with they're kind of like these tranquilizer guns. Two of them are in 3-piece suits. They're showing up, and I'm like, wow, talk about a different era too. I'm like, that's just hilarious to me that they're showing up in these suits. And they're about to get into the school bus when then one of them, you don't see how at first, but one of them gets knocked out, and then you see Hopper coming in the school bus, and he tells the kids, "Let's go." Right. And then we're back at the Byers house, where
there's definitely
Joyce. Yeah.
We are. I was just going to say, there's definitely a moment there with Dustin and the boys where they're walking around, where he's pacing and they're trying to figure out whether or not it's been a trap or not. And I wanted to just think,
Yes.
is it too late for that? Like, you've already answered the walkie-talkie. Like, if you've answered the walkie-talkie and
Right.
told people where you are, it's a little late to be like worried about if it's a trap. You've now taken some steps towards trusting somebody. You've got to see it through.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's too late for sure. And luckily, Hopper showed up just at the right time. And as he's...
Lucas was the voice of reason and all that too, by the way.
Oh, Lucas had a great episode. Yeah, I feel like he completely redeemed himself between like him apologizing first and then like really just being there for the group and pulling it all together. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And back at the Byers' house, Joyce and Jonathan or Nancy are all coming outside to greet them, and Nancy saying right away to Mike, I was so worried about you. And I love how she looks at 11 and she's like, is that my dress? 11's just standing there like,
like maybe.
Yeah.
It's not worried about that right now, Nancy. Come on.
Right. Yeah, Nancy probably hadn't worn that in quite some time. It looked more like a little girl's dress. But
it looked like something she probably wore at like Easter once.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then we have Mike explaining, he's drawing a picture of the tightrope and explaining the upside down to the rest of the group. And, Dustin is also saying that they've found the gate with their compasses. And I think the parents are, well, not the parents, but Hopper and Joyce are both sitting there like, wait, what? What's going on? But
Hopper, when he starts explaining where it is and how it is, Hopper recognizes he's seen it. He's been there. Like, he's like, oh, this is real. Like, it's in a room with the big water tank, and 11's like, yep. And all of a sudden, it's all these little fragments of the story that each of them have been putting together on their own are starting to come together. And this is genuinely one of my favorite scenes. Because it is that pulling of all the information that they've all been gathering on their own, where as a watcher, we may be watching the show going, if they could just tell each other, they'd have so much more information. And suddenly everybody's got all the pieces of the story all at once, and they don't show it all happen, but it's implied that now everybody knows all the different aspects that they're worried about.
And Joyce and Nancy want to know if 11 can help them find Will and Barbara. So then we have 11 with the walkie-talkie on the table, and she's trying to reach out to them to connect, and she's, the lights do start to flash, but she's just like, I'm sorry, I can't find them. It's like she's not able to get to that place. And 11, she's really upset by this because she knows they're counting on her for this. And she's, we have this scene where she's crying in the bathroom, looking at herself in the mirror. And then behind her, that's when she spots the bathtub, the title of this episode.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And she's realizing, oh, maybe this could help. And then she, we're back out in the kitchen where the guys are explaining to Joyce and Hopper, like, hey, she gets really tired from doing this. She's expending a lot of her power. She starts to bleed from her nose, and they're like, well, how long does it take her to kind of be able to do this again? They don't know. But that's when 11 comes out and she suggests like, hey, I could maybe use the bathtub for this. And then we have a moment where we're with Scott, Mr. Clark, the AV club teacher, where he's watching a movie with his girlfriend. And I love this part where Dustin's calling him on the phone. And he's like, and Dustin's saying, I have a science question. And he's like, yeah, talk to me on Monday, Dustin. And he's like, do you know anything about building a sensory deprivation tank? And he's like, what's this for? And he's like, you've always told us to never stop being curious. Why are you wanting to keep the door locked on our curiosity? And it's like, oh my God, Dustin.
Why would you want to lock that
Wow.
door? Like, this, Dustin, what a line. Like, what a way to get the information that you needed, right? That was a home run and a half. And hey, props to Mr. Clark for knowing how to build a sensory deprivation tank in your home, for fun.
And this is, this is pre-internet, people. Like, listen, Dustin is using all the resources he has. No, they can't just Google this stuff. And so he's calling up the teacher. And yeah, luckily he's the type of guy who just had this information stored in his noggin. So there we are. And that's when
Smooth talker, that Dustin.
And that's when Dustin's telling him, well, okay, we're going to need 1,500 pounds of salt. And they go to the school. Luckily, they know, well, where could we get this kind of salt? And they're thinking about, well, there's all this de-icing salt at the school. So, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of go into this, like, snapshot where they're flashing between everybody gathering all the supplies, and they're at the middle school. They're getting the de-icing salt. They're getting the kiddie pool ready. They're getting some of the hoses that they need. It was kind of fun. I like the little moment where Mike is trying to get into some shed that's got a lock on it, can't get it open, and Nancy like hits the lock with a rock to knock the lock off, and then gets in, and he's like, oh, okay, like, opens his eyes to, hey, maybe my sister's a little cooler than I thought she was. And gives her a little bit of credit, which is nice, because then they do end up having this little moment between the two of them where they promise that they're not going to keep things from each other. And then they immediately keep things from each other when they ask each other questions about whether Nancy likes Jonathan or whether Mike likes 11. They're both like, no.
I love that. Right.
It's not like that.
Yeah,
it's not
we'll
like
never keep things from each other again, and then immediately proceed to do that. Yeah, great.
Yeah, always good. But listen, they're all gathering all the materials, and then we get a really cool scene with Joyce, where Joyce is sitting with Elle, and she is genuinely just thanking her for everything, and is letting her know that, hey, if it gets too scary in there, if it's too tough, just let me know. I'll be here for you. And this is like Elle's first experience with a mom figure, because she didn't ever know her own mom, and she's grown up in this like science lab. And so this is like the first time outside of potentially Dr. Brenner, someone showing her genuine care.
That's right. Yeah, she's being super sweet and nurturing toward her and telling her she's a really brave girl. Like you said, Eric, she's thanking her everything you're doing for Will, for my family. Thank you. It's very touching. While she's making her sensory deprivation goggles, putting duct tape over goggles.
Yes, as one does.
Yes, and
which by the way, I know we've referenced our friend's podcast, How I Met Your Mother, a number of times.
Yeah.
That looked like the sensory deprivation 5,000 or whatever that Ted walks around with when he's trying to keep the Super Bowl information away, which is so true. Really funny.
Oh my God. That's exactly, yes. Except he had at least just the side barriers on to keep it, so he couldn't have a peripheral vision, but these were completely taped over. And
these were totally taped.
Yeah. And Joyce is, saying like, listen, tell me, like you said, Eric, tell me if it's too scary, and are you ready? And she's saying, yes, I'm ready to do this. Because 11, she really wants to help them. Again, this is now her new family. They're all showing her care that she's never experienced. Yeah, Dr. Brenner has, probably shown her some care, but really it's for his own benefit, right? Like, this is
right.
This is genuine. And then that we have Dustin, I love testing the buoyancy of the water with the egg, and they're adjusting the salt levels. I mean, if there was any group of kids who were going to be working on this and getting to the bottom of it, this is the group of kids that you want. So
Apparently so. Like this is the group that it should have fallen to. They have
yeah,
got it figured out. They know when they're supposed to go, and they're
yeah,
ready to go. They get the egg
yeah,
floating.
that's right. And then 11 gets in the pool, and pretty much immediately the lights start to flash and then go out. And then we're with 11 in that black space where she is barefoot, and the water is kind of or the floor rather is kind of has the water on the ground, and she's saying Barb, and she's looking really really scared, and you kind of just see this like entanglement in front of her, but you don't quite see what's going on yet. And then the camera does zoom in closer, and you see Barb's corpse with a snake coming out of her mouth. It was like a snake or a giant slug or something. And
Yeah.
and Elle is just screaming, gone, gone. And she's also saying this on the other side. So while the group is sort of surrounding her in the pool, they're kind of asking her questions. What is she seeing? And their voices are also coming through to Elle on that side. And so when she's crying out, Joyce is also saying, don't be afraid. I'm right here with you. And so Joyce's words are able to calm 11 back down. And at that point, 11 turns and she says Castle Byers, because she sees Will's fort, right? So it's kind of like this
Right.
dilapidated version of his fort. And she's getting closer, and she goes inside and sees Will sleeping. And he's looking really
Totally
bad.
fine.
Well,
Totally fine.
yeah, he's
I
fine,
mean, no,
but
but
he's
compared to Barb,
Oh.
he's fine.
yes, compared to Barb, I mean, yeah, Barb was not alive, and Will is hanging on.
He's hanging on because I'm assuming he has not eaten in days.
That's right.
Or gotten much sleep at all.
That's right.
Or any of those things that you need to survive. He's just kind of making it through.
Yeah.
But he is in much better shape
Yeah.
than Barb is.
Yeah.
And 11 starts, talking to him.
Yeah.
And telling him that he's just got to hang on a little bit longer.
That's right.
And, trying to offer some words of encouragement.
Yeah, and Will is saying hurry, and she's telling him your mom is coming for you. And that's when Joyce is also trying to, call out and connect with him. But just then it's like everything, it's almost like disappears like smoke, right? And
yeah, like into like a mist.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
gone.
And it's in that moment that 11 then wakes up out of the trance in that pool, and Joyce is just comforting her, saying, I've got you, it's okay, you did so good. And Hopper is asking Joyce, so this fort, where is it? Like, where can we find it? Because maybe we can make another connection there. And that's where this is that scene that we were talking about earlier, where he's telling Joyce, just go back inside. And she's like, are you kidding me? Like, he's my son. I'm coming with you. And then Joyce turns right back around to Jonathan and says, like, go back inside. You're not needed here. And
yeah, you go back
stay.
inside. We need you to be here in charge of the board.
Which, yeah.
To which Jonathan and Nancy immediately are like,
Yeah.
well, we got to go finish the thing we started.
Yes.
So then they're off
Right.
on their
Right.
own, and it's like, okay,
They're
so
all split up again.
we finally got everybody together, and we're all broken right back up
That's
apart.
right.
So much for that.
Yeah.
But at least there is some consistent information, and there is an alliance formed, so they know that they're not the only ones in it anymore, which is positive.
Right. And then we're with Jonathan and Nancy because, in the last scene, Nancy's saying, well, we can't just sit here and let them get killed. We need to get our stuff, meaning the weapons,
Yeah.
right? And I just love how easily Jonathan
Oh,
and Nancy bust into the police station and grab this box. I'm like, what is going on
Dustin.
here?
Like, they walked in the front door,
Yes.
walked past the people that were there, picked up their evidence,
Oh,
and walked out.
wow.
What
Wow.
world is this?
Wow.
That is not a thing that happens today. At least I hope not.
No.
And like that is just so easy. It was shocking.
Yes. And we're with Joyce and Hopper then also getting stopped outside of the Department of Energy by the cops. Because, Eric, I was a little bit thrown by this scene because I thought that initially, like, they were going to be going back to the woods to Will's fort. And
Well, this is my interpretation of this.
yeah.
There's no point in going to the fort. They have to go to the fort in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to the fort, they've been to the fort.
Yeah.
He's not in the fort.
So
They have to go to the alternate fort. So they have to go through the gate and get to the fort.
So his plan, he was thinking about going through that wall, like where that.
Yes.
That's what okay.
Has to
All
be.
right. Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Because that is what other plan do you have here? You know that there's a gate. You know where the gate is.
Yeah.
You know that you're not going to find Will up here anywhere. You have to go to the Upside Down to get him.
Yeah.
And so that is, that's where this starts.
Yeah.
And then again, this is where when they get stopped,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that I think these are Brenner's people yet.
Well,
they might be. I haven't watched the next episode yet.
Yeah.
But it's almost like this is a government agency,
Mm-hmm.
but there's an agency within the government agency that's doing its own thing.
Yeah.
And so the guards and the security and all that, they're going to operate on the same level that everybody else is supposed to be operating.
Yeah.
On. But, Brenner and his gang are running their own little show under their shell of protection. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is more just Brenner and his guys in the whole department's, sideways.
I had that same question where I'm like, I don't know if these were like I don't think they were necessarily just the local Hawkins police, but
Oh no,
I don't.
these were the government,
Yeah.
like you've seen even Hopper try to get into this place just by
Yes.
driving in the front door. They're stopped by security. Like
Yes.
this is the department's security
That's
force.
right. Yeah. So they were immediately surrounded pretty much. And, after that, then we have this quick scene of Will back in, we're back in the Upside Down with him, and he's kind of curled up singing, "Should I stay or should I go?" to himself. And then we're hearing the Demogorgon growling outside of his fort. And then really quick, there's just like this gust, and you just see the wall like cave in and get blown out. And that's where they leave us. So it was a
It's a
really
great cliffhanger.
Oh my goodness.
Great cliffhanger. Great cliffhanger.
They do an excellent job with the cliffhangers on this show. Like, wow.
Okay, so now we're going to jump into our IMDb rating section of our episode, where we're going to talk about where we think this episode was rated and our least and our favorite characters from this episode. But before we do, Amanda, you've always got some fun notes about this episode. What do we have for this one?
So for this one, I actually didn't really have any notes about the music because there wasn't really any outside of like the great score that they always have. There wasn't too many like pop songs that were played or just
It's just getting more scary and nervous and does not lend itself to the pop music.
Right. So a few of the trivia notes that I have here is that this was the first episode of the series to take place entirely within the same day. So all the other episodes started out one day and then ended the following day. So it's also interesting. It's not like an episode covers the course of several days, it's either been, again, the previous episodes were from one day to the next, or now this one is entirely one day. So we really are, it's important to keep in mind too, because as we watch this, like, we're getting this really close snapshot of a moment, right? Like, it's not this long course of time. It's just this really, tight moment. So that's the first piece of trivia. The next was that this episode was the shortest running of the series to date. So this one was only about 40 minutes total, whereas the rest of them have been closer to an hour.
And I guess I would say that the two of those things probably go hand in hand, right? Like, if it's all just in one day, then it theoretically could be a little bit shorter.
Yeah. At
the same time, they start us off with a bang and they leave us on such a great cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
If you kept going from here, it would not, I don't know, it wouldn't make as much sense.
Yeah.
Like, you want to leave your episode on something that makes people want to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because it's Netflix, there is no requirement to have to fit in X amount of commercial breaks or get it into a certain time construct. So if it's 45 minutes, if it's an hour and 10 minutes, who cares, as long as it starts and stops on a banger note. And that's, like, I heard the final episode is going to be like 3 hours long. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be really cool. And the last note that I had was that, I don't know if you noticed, so that movie that Mr. Clark and his girlfriend were watching on the couch, it was The Thing, where he describes, it's like, oh yeah, they did that with like bubble gum and I forget what else.
Yeah, the neck
mentioned. Yeah, and you just
bubble gum and melted plastic.
That's what it was. Yeah, and it's like, and you just see this like neck melting. But either way, it's that movie, The Thing, contains a monster that's head, it opens up just like a petal of a flower, like the Demogorgon. So it's kind of like, that was part of, I think, the inspiration for the Duffer Brothers for this show, for creating that monster. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, and I think it also, that scene was kind of funny because Mr. Clark kind of shows that guys like Dustin and Lucas and Will and Mike, like, they're all going to be like him when they're older.
Yes.
They're going to they're going to be watching the movie and not talking about the movie, but talking about the behind the scenes, like, science section of how this all broke down. Right. At least that's the path they're on today. It's a nice scene, and okay, good to know.
Very cool.
So I'm going to start us off here, where we talk about our favorite and least favorite characters, because I don't think I get another opportunity to do this. So I'm going to say my least favorite character is Carol.
Yeah,
like,
I feel that.
She's been my least favorite character in a number of episodes, but she hasn't ever been on screen enough. Again, she wasn't really on screen enough to justify it. But God, if you take her whole body of work, I mean, she's probably a very pleasant, nice lady, the person who's the actress. But holy smokes, what a great acting job. Like, she comes across as just the bane of all my existence. I hate her so much.
Yeah.
Like, she's got to go.
Yeah.
Got to go.
Yeah, I support that. I know I have down, I could have easily said that Mr. Wheeler was my least favorite because of all of, like, the trust the government, and like, he really doesn't know his kids at all. He's more concerned about what happened to Eleven's hair. Like, he made some comment on, like, why is this girl's head shaved, and then why the government is raiding his house. It's like, he just seems perfectly calm, and that just drove me nuts in that scene.
It's funny that you say that, because I was kicking around Mrs. Wheeler.
Yes,
because
not a good episode.
I felt like, I'm like, hey, something's up. You know it. And you're just going to let Mr. Wheeler and his, like, rhetoric sideline you. Like, come on, you got to stand up and say something when they're all gone. Or, you know what? Just go out on your own.
Yeah.
Like, you can go
Yeah, so
You won't even know.
they were both, equally frustrating in this episode for sure. But with all that said, I'm still, and I know we've picked him before, but I had to go with Tommy again, the friend who like held up Steve
fair.
by his lapels and like, because it's like, while Mr. Wheeler's ignorant, this guy from Steve's clique is just, again, I'm just going to refer to him as Biff Tannen from now on, because he's just like nuts and heartless, you know? It's like, dude, why are you so angry about Steve liking Nancy? Like, it's like, does he have a crush on Steve? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. It was just, what is he even about? Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was in both of them, Tommy and Carol.
They deserve each other.
Just horrible people, and they deserve to be the least favorite characters of this episode. So I'm glad you picked them. But yeah, the Wheeler parents are not too far behind. Not gonna lie. Like honorable mention for the worst. How about a favorite? I'm torn between two, and I was hoping that us talking it through would get me there. I think I've settled on one, but go ahead. Who's your favorite?
So for me, just because these scenes got me a little bit choked up, and because of the moments we mentioned before, where 11 really needed like a mother figure, and I just love how sweet Joyce was to 11. So Joyce, to me, is my favorite in this episode. It's like her just like sitting there with her hands in hers, and she's just being so kind and like just thanking her. I mean, she hasn't even really, done anything for her yet, but just the fact that she's there and is able to try to make this connection for her with Will, it was just really heartwarming, and again, got me a little choked up, and I just love how kind Joyce was. And yeah, so Joyce is my favorite. How about you?
Okay. So it was down to Joyce or this other person. I definitely agree. Like she should be the favorite character. I have no problems with that. I will go the other direction just because I had to. I'm going to go with 11.
Yes.
And I'm going to go with 11, not just for all the stuff that she did in the sensory deprivation tank, but if you go all the way back to the beginning of the episode, where one of my favorite scenes, her flipping the van over the guys on the bikes, is a huge get, where she helps like orchestrate the the whole friendship getting back together, where Lucas apologizes to her, and then he says, friends don't lie, and she says, I'm sorry too. She didn't have to say that. And Lucas knew that she didn't have to say that, but she says it anyway. And then,
she did throw him against the thing, but yeah.
She did, but but I think Lucas at this point understands accidents are accidents, and he's apologizing to her because he wants her to know that he believes she's part of the gang too.
Yes.
And she's saving them over and over again, literally catching Mike in the last episode, and now flipping vans out of the way for him. Like, she's been a huge part to this whole thing. So I will go with her. I think it was also great that she recognized the bathtub. It was her idea to put this whole thing in play, which, if we think back, when the compasses were leading them to the gate, she deliberately went against going farther. She led the compasses astray on purpose.
That's
right. So that they wouldn't find it. And here she is volunteering additional information to help get them where they need to get to. Big episode for 11. I don't disagree. Joyce had a fantastic episode as well. But I guess I will stand on 11 as my favorite for this one.
I think that's a great pick. And because, when you really think about this more, 11 could just be in the wind if she wanted to be. Like, if she just wanted to be, like, take care of herself, like, she does not have any need to be around. She could just be completely self-sufficient. She's more powerful than any human being.
She knows how to get egos. She got egos real easy.
That's right.
Pay for groceries.
No,
Like,
she could just
done.
get what she wants and take it and be gone. And so it's like she could easily, if she was just looking out for herself, but that's where you really see, I think, that humanity come out in her because she wants a group of people. Like she wants to be cared
Yeah.
for as well. And so,
She's
yeah.
recognizing that these people are on her side,
Yeah.
and she doesn't need them to be there because she
No.
can take care of all of this, but it means something more to have friends, as she said
Yeah.
at the very beginning of the episode. So, I would make an argument that Nancy also had a great episode.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a great episode for all the ladies on this
Yeah.
one, minus Carol, who stinks and is a terrible person. But
Yeah.
Nancy, I think, showcased to Mike all the positives that could come from like being connected as brother sister.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take her being that person and not Mike because she's the older sibling. And, sometimes that responsibility falls on us to reach out to the less, younger siblings. Just throwing it out there.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my God. Love it.
All right. How do you rate this episode? What do you think?
All right.
Again, we'll put it out there. It is an 8.6 average. Where's my list? Hold on as I shuffle papers around.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a notebook now, so that's better.
Mm-hmm.
But the chapter 4, the body, was an 8.9. That is our high watermark so far.
Okay.
So, and now you are rating these. We're doing this just what would we give it?
That's right.
But that is what the fans have picked. 8.9. The body, chapter 4. When are you giving this one?
Yeah. So for me, this one, because I think I looked back and I gave the last one an 8.7 personally. So I fell a little bit below what the people rated it. And I might be a little bit on the lower side this time. I'm not sure, but I'm looking at this episode. I really love the fact that everyone came together. But I also feel like it was a little bit less. There was a little bit less action. There was a little bit less suspense. I still loved it, but it was almost more of like a bridge episode where it's like, hey, we need to bring these people together, or we have to have them, get all on the same page. But I also feel like maybe that's also why it was a little bit shorter because they just needed it to kind of serve that purpose, right? And so, it allowed us to see that storyline progress. But I'm going to give this one an 8.3, which still really great. But like to me, anything 8 or above is great. But yeah, and we did have that iconic flipping of the van scene.
Yes.
And again, we learned more about both Will and Barb's current conditions. So that was pretty rough. But yeah, it just
last week, by the way, chapter 6 was an 8. I'm looking it back up. It was an 8.8.
It was 8.8.
Last week was.
Okay.
With the with like saving Mike from falling off the dam and things like that.
Yes. So because it didn't quite have that same level of intensity for me, I might like bring it up a little, but yeah, I'll just stick with that for now, the 8.3. So that's what I'm going with. How about you, Eric?
Okay, so here's the funny thing. 8.8 is what I gave last week's episode where, Nancy was in the upside down is where we started and she had to get out of there and Mike is falling off the dam and L11, who was not with them, is saving Mike and, breaking Troy's arm and stealing groceries and all sorts of stuff like that. There was definitely a lot more action last week, which was an 8.8 for me. 8.8 for me and for IMDb. I am going to say that I'm going to give this one an 8.9. And I agree with you. There is just not nearly as much action in this one. But if you said, hey, tell me about your favorite things from Stranger Things season 1, 11 flipping the van over is way high on my list. The group coming together for the first time is way high up on my list. Having them do
Yeah.
the sensory deprivation tank is high up on the list. So while none of these are like the big, exciting moments, I love like the teamwork put forth in this one. I love seeing them compare notes and seeing that like, okay, we've got like not just a group of 2 and a group of 2 and a group of 4. We have a group of 8 on the same page with a goal, knowing how to solve the problem. And we also got the van flip, which is really cool. And we got Hopper knocking the guy out unexpectedly. I was even again watching this, I always expect 11 to like break his neck. But no, Hopper comes in and just knocks him out like at the school bus. So I'm going to give it an 8.9 because for me, this is actually one of my favorites for season 1.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Let's see. Chapter 7, The Bathtub, 9.0.
Wow.
I should have gone higher. I almost went into the 9s.
Wow, I was
almost
way
went to
low.
the 9s.
Yeah,
So this is our new clubhouse leader, 9.0.
Okay. All right.
I'm jotting this down, 9.0.
And then that almost makes me feel like, and I don't really remember what happens in the next episode, which I'm super excited for because I'm sure the finale of season 1 is going to leave us on a massive cliffhanger. But I'm thinking that could easily be almost, in the mid 9s if this one was a 9.0. I'm feeling pretty good about the next episode for sure.
I think as the seasons go, the later episodes are always going to be higher rated than the earlier episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe not episode 1, but like episodes 7, 8, 9 are probably going to be a little bit better. But I agree with your stance on it. Like there's not nearly as much action in this one.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to relate it to our last podcast, or not our last one, but 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah.
No, the last one? It depends how we put them out. But the one where we talked about Friends and the Thanksgiving football scene episode, where that got a very high rating from the people. At the same time, I had it way low because to me, I don't care. But I feel like the fans of that series have it as one of the most nostalgic episodes ever.
Yes.
I think this is I think there's a lot of pieces that you pull to that say this episode not just sets up this season ending finale, but the series.
That's so true.
So like there's a lot there.
Yeah.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yep. No, for sure. Well, I'm really excited to see and to remember how the season ends. That is for sure.
I remember the very end very well.
Okay.
But some of the plot holes between where they are right now and how we get to that point, we'll see. There's definitely some gaps in my memory there. So I'm very excited to rewatch these next couple. Thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please follow us on Instagram and TikTok and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And again, we really appreciate all the love and support we're seeing there on the socials. If you could share this episode with one friend, a parent, a loved one, a classmate, someone like Carol that is awful in your life, that would be fine. I don't mind that. Like, share it with people you hate. That's fine. If you could, check us out on WeRunOnReruns.com, where we have all of our full episodes uploaded. And for Amanda, this is Eric. Thank you much for tuning in and enjoy watching Stranger Things Chapter 8 this week. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.